Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree has reached mixed reviews on Steam, but why? According to a lot of the comments on the page, people are getting wrecked left and right, holding them back from ascending to their true form. Hence why in this video we're going to outline 12 different mistakes that you might potentially be engaging in right now, ruining your experience. First of all, we have to talk about the Scadutree fragments and their insane importance for the DLC area. With the newest patch, they have in fact been buffed, and especially for the first 10 levels or so. You can collect a bunch of these before ever fighting a boss. Just explore as much as possible, or just use a map and check them off one by one. You can get like 10 in the first zone, and then like another 10 in the zone past Castle Ensis, which you can, by the way, very easily bypass. I'll get into that later on in this video. These fragments give an offensive buff and a defensive buff, and these start out as a 10% increase for the mentioned stats, averaging towards 4 to 5% as you level, and ultimately introducing diminishing returns at level 12. Also, I have a very random question for you, but have you ever thought of getting into programming? Yes? Oh wow, that is a coincidence, because Boot.dev is today's sponsor in fact. Thanks to them for sponsoring the video. Boot.dev is a platform that uses smart techniques to learn new coding, while never getting bored. How? Well, Boot.dev is online, self-paced, and feels like a captivating RPG game, just like Elden Ring really. You will even earn XP, levels, achievements, and complete quests to get a top spot on the global leaderboard. You will learn back-end web development from start to finish in Python and the Go programming language, and the platform is designed to get you to write a ton of code, because getting your hands on the keyboard and shipping projects is the only way to really learn. Programmers have amazing earning potential. According to Stack Overflow, the median salary for back-end developers in the USA, for example, in 2023 was over $100,000. So what are you waiting for? Become a programmer right now. Click the link in the description box and use my code as shown on screen to get 25% off your first payment for Boot.dev. That is 25% for your first month or your first year, depending on the subscription that you choose. But you probably have already heard a lot about the Scadutree fragment, so let's talk about Talismans. Going pure offensive and becoming a glass cannon with 4 attacking talismans, well, that is not a thing anymore in DLC. First of all, the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman is very good here, with that 20% extra physical damage, but you might have already considered that since it's a widely recommended talisman overall. It's really good. The real tip here is going to be the talismans that protect you against elemental damage. These type of talismans, and you obviously cater to the enemy that you're fighting. Your enemy deals fire damage, well, the Flame Drake +2 version will give you 20% extra fire damage negation, and it does make a difference. Just look at these numbers in this side-by-side comparison. And the damage negation stacks quickly, obviously, when enemies hit you a lot in quick succession. And even better yet, the DLC has introduced +3 versions for even more negation. And while talismans are nice for negation, have you considered eating food? Probably not, because who wastes their time with that? Let's be honest. But boiled seafood is actually quite nice here too, ranging from 50% physical damage negation to 20%, or alternatively the dried livers, which again cover the different types of elemental resistances. Now that's another defensive buff that stacks with the talismans, the fragments, and so forth. In a similar line of thinking, we have defensive spells in the form of incantations, but even with only an investment of 10 faith, you already get access to the fortification spells, which all give a whopping 35% negation to a certain elemental. That's right, and only for 10 faith. So invest some points in faith. However, these are also considered body buffs, so if you can't be arsed to cook and make food, just use these instead. The Crucible Feathering Talisman is actually a really decent option for the DLC. It decreases your damage negation with a whopping 30%. Wait, what? Am I trolling? No, look, the DLC bosses are very active in their combos and attacks, and if you don't know how to dodge, then getting eaten up by attacks will kill you either way, no matter how much damage reduction you have. The Crucible Feather Talisman is an alternative option, and it can actually help you out with that very well, because it increases the number of iframes that you get in your dodge, making it easier to dodge and giving you more leeway in preventing incoming damage. And if you don't get hit, damage reduction doesn't matter, right? It is hard to describe how it feels in game, but it does feel flexible. Try it out. Don't mistakenly completely write off this talisman yet, just like how you don't want to write off the Deflecting Hardtear. For those that have played Sekiro, you know exactly how good something like this can be in this game as well. This tier allows you to perfect block any attack, making it so that you lose no health and barely any stamina when you successfully deflect. In addition, it then also strengthens your guard attacks, by the way, giving you great momentum in a fight and damage output. Per its description, it does a bunch of useful things. However, you need to practice timing and hit the block button right when the enemy's attack would connect to you, or otherwise unpleasant things will happen. Mix it with the Stone Bar Tier for a deadly stance-breaking perfect block type of cocktail that just might be a very powerful playstyle for you. Where do you get this crystal tier though? Well, the Furnance Golem guys. Now, if you have ignored these guys so far, since they have too much HP and it just takes too much time to bother with them, well, there is an easy way to get rid of them quickly. Attack their feet, swap around between set feet, and preferably use a setup with good voice damage, and you'll break them quickly. When you fully stance break these golems, don't go immediately for the critical hit, since they'll stay in this position for quite some time. Hit them a bunch of times first, then after like 20 seconds maybe or so from the initial stance breaking hit, go for the critical hit, which will do insane damage by the way. It is an easy way to get rid of these guys, but you can also take it to the next level and prevent the mistake of wasting any time here. Go to any of the furnace golems, and usually there will be some kind of elevation around them from which you can throw hefty furnace pots inside of their baskets. Doing so yields insane damage. Look at these insane numbers, and it only usually takes like 3 or so of these pots to destroy the golem. If your aim and throwing is not that good, good news, because these hefty furnace pots are in fact infinitely farmable, at least their materials. The red flesh mushrooms are in abundance near the pillar path cross side of grace. Ember of Mesmer is then all over Scadutree, but for example, you can also use the Morph rune side of grace to quickly rest and reset, and just infinitely keep picking these materials. And then the furnace visages can in fact also be farmed right here below the Shadow Keep. There's a group of soldiers surrounding the fallen golem right there, and these soldiers do in fact drop these materials as well. You can farm them over and over and get as many as you want. This way you will have an infinite stream of hefty furnace pots that will erase those golems in seconds for you. What can also be erased in seconds are the white rocks blocking your spirit springs. Don't want to look around and search for the stones to break to unlock the spirit spring? Well, no worries. From now on, don't even bother searching around anymore. Just use either Margit or Moog's Shackle, and these will in fact work and disarm these traps as well, and give you free access to the Spirit Spring without having to worry about anything else. Convenient, right? And while that's convenient, the placement of illusory walls might not be so convenient in Shadow of the Erdtree. Without spoiling too much, obviously, but the placement of these illusory walls is quite liberal, let's say. And you might miss out on loot and other interesting stuff by missing out on these walls, which is obviously going to happen as they look like normal walls. Moog's and Mark's Shackle, however, is yet another tool to displace illusory walls right from the get-go and make sure you never miss a wall again. We also have to talk about remembrances, because there might be bosses where you want both rewards, right? And the world of the Shadow of the Erdtree introduces these type of tombs that will grant you the possibility to duplicate a remembrance and thus get both rewards from defeating a certain boss. Practical, right? But you can still in fact also duplicate your Shadow of the Erdtree boss related remembrances with the Mausoleums of the base game as well. So if you have those left in your playthrough, well, you're in luck. And now finally, I keep hearing people say that the boss of the castle Ensis is mandatory, and I understand you might think so since it's quite an epic fight. But nope, the boss is completely optional. In fact, the entire castle is optional. You can skip it and pretend like it never existed, and then explore even more and get stronger with fragments in the Scadutree region. To bypass the castle, first of all, go to the castle front side of grace, move down the path and take the middle path. This is very important. I'm drawing it now out on the map for you as well, and you basically just want to move downwards and downwards and downwards, and then you'll see a poison swamp. You want to go through the poison swamp as well. Make sure you're doing this on horse, because then you won't get poisoned, and basically just keep progressing till you see the landmass without poison to the right of you. Go there and move some more till you see the Spirit Spring. The Spirit Spring will initially be locked by this puddle of white stones, and to break it, it's actually very easy. Right around the corner, you break the rocks, and it will open up the Spirit Spring for you. Easy peasy. You even get a message to welcome you, then use it, and use the other one after that as well, and you'll ultimately end up in Fort Reprimand. Here you can just ignore everything and move outside of it. Make sure to grab both sides of graces, and then at the second side of grace, enter the area right in front of you, and just progress through it till you can get out again. Here you'll see the exit, or rather entrance of the castle, and you can just go out smoothly. Outside you'll see another side of grace for you to get, and close by is this mini tunnel that if you go through, you'll end up in the Scadutree region. Congratulations, you have made it. Now you just need a good build, and I have videos for that, so you're in luck.